Hello guys, welcome back to Gemma Movie Recap. In today's video, we will be enjoying a crime action movie named The Awakener from 2018. So chill out and enjoy. But before we start, please support our channel by subscribing and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start. The movie begins with the protesters and demonstrators outside of a government building. They had congregated there in protest against their corrupt governor, Sandro Correa, who had been caught stealing from the government. As the people throws objects and stones at the building, the governor flees, hiding under a table until he is discovered by a masked man. A few members of the Force DAE are seen preparing and arming themselves. Later that moment they arrive at a building where a man was sipping his coffee. That man was Governor Sandro. They arrested him and took him to the interrogation room in their head office. Their fellow officers cheer Edu and Miguel on their performance of capturing the corrupt governor. In the interrogation room, they informed him that they had proof of his fraud and theft of public funds. The governor warns them that he will continue killing everyone who tries to expose his crimes or corruption. Even bribing the officer is something he tries to do to avoid being charged. Later, when the governor was enjoying a luxurious lunch, his lawyer showed in. He discussed how he had connections in the prosecutor's office. He promised him that he would soon be freed from detention. He warned him that he might be placed under house arrest while the investigation was ongoing. In the meantime, there in the DAE head office, their commander holds a small meeting and tells them that the evidence related to the embezzlement of the health budget by Governor Correa is insufficient. So, he decided to allow him to go home and be placed under house arrest. Following that, Miguel and his friend leave the workplace. When Miguel went to see his daughter, she was waiting for him on the road with her mother. To bring their daughter to the football game, they were waiting there. Miguel shows up there carrying a t-shirt for his daughter. She becomes excited. While her mother shoots pictures, he assists her in donning her shirt. Miguel then drives her away in a cab. Upon noticing the traffic jam, they exit the vehicle. His daughter was hit by a blind shot as they were crossing the street to get to the stadium. She began to bleed. Miguel hurried his daughter to the emergency room of the hospital for prompt medical attention. When they reached the hospital, the doctors immediately took Miguel's daughter Alice to the emergency room and asked Miguel to wait outside. Miguel waits there impatiently and then he gets in. He happens to see a lot of serious patients laying open and unattended in the hospital corridor. He was shocked to see these patients and the conditions of the poor hospital facilities. At that moment, he found his daughter Alice lying motionless in front of the operating room. When he asks the doctor why they have not taken her to the operating room, he tells him that the hospital did not have many operating facilities, so many patients had to wait for their turns. After a lot of bleeding and delay in the treatment, Alice's pulse stopped slowly and she died. After a while, Alice's mother, Miguel's ex-wife, arrived at the hospital and was horrified to discover that her young daughter had passed away. The governor was freed from detention in the following scene after receiving bail due to insufficient evidence. He approaches the microphone and declares he will be running for president. He promises to improve funding for public hospitals and the healthcare industry. He affirms his commitment to enhancing public welfare. On the flip side, Miguel thinks back on his daughter as he runs through the streets. He believes that the insufficient hospital facilities contributed to the death of his daughter. Miguel believes that if the medical community had access to better hospital facilities and equipment, his daughter might have been saved. He thinks that patients should not be neglected and ignored. While he was jogging, he came to a shop in the street and saw the news that Governor Correa was released from prison and not found guilty of any corruption and embezzlement of health funds. Miguel got more furious and frustrated over the system. He then passed through the crowd of protesters at that government building and attacked the policeman in his anger. The policeman fired tear gas at him. He wears a mask there. As we know, he was a trained special forces man. He overcame many policemen who were guarding the building. He climbs the building and enters. He kills one of the governor's bodyguards and gets into the room where the governor was hiding. He punches him continuously, which results in his killing. The following day, Miguel reports to work, and the head of the DAE urges him and the other DAE members to look into any protesters who may have taken part in the demonstration. He informs them that the investigating team was successful in apprehending a number of suspects who were thought to be the protest's organizers. Miguel met this woman at the rally where he was hitting the policeman, therefore it appears that he knew one of the women's suspects. The female in the room is questioned by Miguel. She introduces herself as Nina and explains that she is a programmer. Additionally, Nina admits to him that she is aware that Miguel was the one who attacked the cops, and she further claims to have a recording of his activities on her phone. He goes to the evidence room and checks her phone. He found her right. She leaves Miguel choiceless, so ultimately he frees her. At night, after analyzing the video and events at his apartment, Miguel finds the address of Nina's apartment and goes there. He found her walking on the road. Nina shows him the laptop of Governor Cunha and offers to help Miguel investigate a case of embezzlement of medical funds and hospital equipment. At this moment, Miguel thinks that Cunha will not be able to do this alone. Nina hacked into Cunha's personal laptop, and Miguel found important information about the people involved in the embezzlement case. Miguel then got ready and went after the corrupt politicians and officials who were also in charge of theft and corruption in the health department, one by one. Miguel kills them all while concealing himself with the same mask. The news of the repeated murders of politicians quickly went viral. Then Miguel went to Nina at work and urged her to track down the sponsors who were paying for these dishonest officials' campaigns. Nina declines, but Miguel offers to commute Nina's mother's prison sentence. After some time, Nina visits her mother and questions about the value of truth. Her mother replies that the truth is just an illusion, because the truth for one person is not the same according to another person. Nina discovers the identities of Gomez, who are the sponsors of those dishonest politicians. When Gomez arrives to see Minister Regina in a building, Nina takes control of the security camera system there. On the day of the governor's passing, Edu was in the main office looking through the files of the suspects. Finding Nina's profile, he was able to determine that Minister Marta Regina was the next person the mysterious figure known only as the Awakener intended to attack. Edu attempts to phone Miguel to let him know about this, but is unable to do so. He then departs on his own and heads for the minister's office. There, he encounters the man with the mask. After pursuing Miguel, Edu shoots him. Miguel comes straight to Nina and she treats his wound. The next day, Miguel and Edu presented their reports that Minister Regina had collaborated with Antero Gomez. Gomez was the person who had funded the campaign of these corrupt officials. Miguel and Edu decided to investigate Minister Regina, but their chief rejected all the investigation results. The man also said that they should stop the investigation on Minister Regina. Miguel is annoyed with this decision, then decides to execute Gomez with his own hands. After some time, he reached the Gomez residence. He was seen having dinner with several other officials. Gomez's son was there too, who was meeting his mother and asking that he was not ready to become a president. Gomez arrived there and encouraged his son. Miguel, however, purposefully kills Gomez's son in order to force Gomez to recognize and own his guilt. Gomez, however, took advantage of his son's passing to win support from the public and announce his candidacy for the presidency. A mysterious man is seen in a car in the meantime, and it turns out that he is Antero Gomez's private spy, who was looking into the deaths of his co-workers. Siqueira was his name. He is being directly recruited by Gomez to look into the killings. He learned that the murderer was not acting alone. And based on his calculations, he concludes that the companion of the Awakener is Nina's boss. He eventually put that man to death. When Nina gets to work, she discovers that her boss has passed away. She quickly left the area and headed for Miguel's place. Siqueira and his men, who were pursuing Nina, arrive when she gets there. As soon as they see Miguel's hiding place, they strike. While protecting her during the shooting, Miguel commands Nina to leave the area. The followers are killed in the following scene as Miguel dons his mask. One of Siqueira's men managed to capture Nina while he was engaged in combat with another. To save Nina's life, he proposed a bargain to Miguel. Another presidential candidate, Julia Machado, was killed on Siqueira's command. Says Miguel. The police finally showed up at Miguel's house after some time. When searching for the Awakener, Edu and his team discovered the location. After knowing that, they researched the place and found out that the Awakener is targeting Gomez. Edu and his team rushed to the location of the presidential candidate debate. There Miguel also heads to kill Julia. Arriving at the debate location, Miguel was preparing to kill Julia. Edu appeared and immediately stopped him. Both of them get into a fierce fight. Edu tells Miguel to stop all his actions, but he does not listen to him and continues. He didn't care about his talks. However, Nina, who was being held against her will by Sikera, fought back and eventually managed to gravely hurt Sikera. Miguel is subsequently detained for the murder of dishonest authorities. Edu then summoned Miguel's ex-wife in an effort to convince him. His ex-wife claimed that their kid would feel ashamed of her father after learning about Miguel's recent actions of vigilantism. Miguel discovers that Antero Gomez won the elections while he is still incarcerated. As Deputy Diaz, one of Miguel's superiors, arrives to question him, he makes an attempt to murder Miguel. However, Miguel was able to get away and murder that man. Miguel escapes from prison, prepares weapons and ammunition, and rushes to the Parliament building, where Gomez and his fellow politicians were celebrating the victory of Gomez, who had managed to beat Julia in the results. Without any delay, Miguel attacked the Parliament building and killed all of Gomez's men and colleagues. When he finally confronts Gomez in his office, he informs Miguel that since greed is a basic human characteristic, corruption will not go away from the world. Miguel killed Gomez with a shot. Miguel was held at gunpoint by Gomez's men after Gomez was killed. However, Miguel has a backup plan. He already had a bomb ready and had it secured in his car. When Miguel depressed the explosive trigger, the structure burst into flames, raising Miguel inside along with it. Miguel's body was not present at the crime scene when the rescuers, police, and forensics team arrived the following day. They only discovered the Awakener's mask. The film ends by showing the figure of the Awakener who is aiming to shoot his target or something from the top of the building. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more recap videos. See you.